Welcome to Winning with the Burns, a podcast for highly ambitious people who have a burning desire to learn what it takes to win at a high level. Hey guys, thanks for joining us again today. You know, Nick, it's a great time of year. College football is getting ready to kick off. Our kids are in school. We've got a routine for our kids. Summer is over with. So I'm excited because, routines matter in everything that you do.
Absolutely. It's about, staying, the old saying is, professionals stick to a schedule, amateurs let life get in the way. And having a routine is just, it gets rid of the motivation when you're in a routine. Because we're all in some sort of routine, whether it's good or bad, right? But being in a strategic, intentional routine to create the results that you want is so important.
Well, you talk about staying in a routine. I was listening to Andy Frisella a while back, and he was saying, don't mistake consistency with discipline. Because some people can be very consistent with their routine, but it's not discipline for their actions of what they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, think about when COVID hit, the routine that you were in. It was sleeping in, right? Watching Netflix till late at night. I mean, there was nothing you could do. A lot of people started drinking heavy, putting on what they call the COVID 20, right? COVID 20 pounds. That was consistent. You were doing it every day.
That's right.
But it wasn't a disciplined, intentional routine like what you're referring to.
And what's crazy for me is I had the reverse effect. I lost weight because I was preparing every meal and I was strategic. I mean, I was consistent because I prepared every meal, and it wasn't the fat dust meals, so to speak.
Yeah.
It was clean meals. And, I lost weight because, I wasn't going to the gym, so I lost muscle and everything. So, yes, I lost weight, but I was eating clean. I felt good because, I was intentional with the food that I prepared and not eating out and eating all this junk food now that I probably do eat.
Yeah, hell, I was, and I was looking at my watch every day, making sure I wasn't drinking alcohol till 4:30 or 5. I'm serious. It was bad, to where I can see where, this old saying about, idle mind is the devil's workshop. When you're not busy, when you're not doing activity, you can go down a different path easily.
You can. I was listening this morning to a guy named Ben Newman, and, he talks about mental toughness. He has a forum out. You're probably getting those emails too. But he was talking about, training camp, college football, NFL training camp, and all that stuff. And he was talking about how these guys have goals for the year. And he was talking about how sticking to a standard. And he was talking about how these NFL people, they don't just show up for training camp. Like, they have been preparing. They've been lifting. The coaches have been watching film. They have been preparing for training camp because the season's getting ready to start for them. In business, you don't have an off season to prepare. You don't have time to say, okay, we're going to lift today. We're going to draw up plays, and then we got 12 weeks. We're going to run hard at this. It's a 52-week a year thing, commitment. Like, every day you have to wake up. There's no off season in business.
No, and there's not. And that's why it can be challenging, because you don't have a season that's stacked. You don't prepare, 6, 7, 8 months, and then boom, you're in season. It's every day, every week. And I know the mistake that we've made personally in the past is, and the name of what we're going to be talking about today is, how do you show up after you win, right? How do you show up after you win? When you have some success, because we've had a lot of success in the industry we're in. But one thing we failed at is, when we did succeed, being not even more consistent, taking it to the next level, right? You get complacent, right? When things are going good, your mind can be blinded to, they're always going to be good. They're always going to be this way, and having a standard in your life, having a standard in your business. When you hear the word standard, it's thrown around so loosely. The standard is the standard. Our local high school, that's, their motto is, the standard is the standard. And if you say, well, what do you mean by standard? What are you saying? Well, it's very simple. How are you treated when you go to Chick-fil-A versus how you're treated when you go to McDonald's? That's a standard. It's a level of excellence, this night and day difference. Now, when we were growing up, you had your birthday parties at McDonald's. That was the place to go. But over time, the standard at McDonald's has went down. Chick-fil-A's has not only gotten, they've taken it to the next level with their standard. And, the Webster's Dictionary says, a standard is a level of quality or attainment is used or accepted as normal or average, And so the way I look at it with us in our business and even our personal lives is, what standard do we want to have in our lives? How are we going to live on a daily basis? Because you have to stack days. Success is a numbers game. At the end of the day, success is a numbers game. You can take somebody that has all the talent in the world that does a certain level of calls. For example, let's say you're selling a widget, right? You're selling a certain widget. Somebody that's super talented, super charismatic, got the gift of gab, can really communicate. They make 20 calls. Or you take somebody that's not as talented, they don't have the communication skills of that person that made 20 calls. They make 100 calls. I'll take that person who makes 100 calls any day of the week because they're going to be more successful in the long run because they're putting in the numbers. You're going to run into successes the more opportunities you have.
You talked about our business, and, we can hit on that because our standards started sliding for us because we had thought we have arrived. We're doing more than we ever dreamed we would do. We're doing more than XYZ over here, XYZ over there. Like, we felt like we kind of arrived. And what happened is you let little details slide that you normally would not have done when you're in the fight beginning. It's like going to the gym. Oh, when you're ripped, it's easy to say, well, I took the day off. It's okay. Over time, that one day I took off, the next day I took off, over time, what happens is I wind up getting out of shape, and it's very easy to do. That's what happened in our business. We took our eye off of our standard, and the standard was showing up every day. The standard was creating leaders. We let things slide. We allowed things to take place that we normally would not have let take place had we been more intentional when we were trying to get to that quote-unquote pinnacle of success.
Yeah, you gotta embrace the one day at a time mentality, because that's at the end of the day, that's what it is. All you have is today. Yesterday's gone, and tomorrow may never come. You've got we woke up this morning. We were blessed to wake up this morning. Like let me ask you this: if I told you I'm going to give you $1 million right now, that'd be pretty significant, right?
Yeah,
you'd take it, right? All right, I'll take it a step further. What if I'll give you $5 million? But here's the deal. I'll give you $5 million today, but you're not going to wake up in the morning. Would you take the $5 million?
Well, no, right?
So what you're saying is waking up in the morning is more important than having $5 million.
That's right.
Why aren't we all like crazy thankful for that every day? And I'm talking to Nick Burns when I say that. Why don't I wake up every day thankful that I woke up? Because it is a big deal to be able to wake up every day, when you use that analogy. But again, success is, challenging yourself to have that one day at a time mentality, stacking those days. There is a thing called compound interest. When you think of compound interest, you think of money. It's the same thing in a habit, right? You go to the gym on a consistent basis. You eat right on a consistent basis. You make the right amount of phone calls on a consistent basis. You share the opportunity in our business the right amount of times on a consistent basis. You're going to wake up down the road and be like, whoa, what happened? Our business is all about 90-day cycles, 90-day mad men, right? But it's true. It's being consistent over those 90 days. All it is just challenging yourself to stay focused and be intentional for those 90 days. But if you could really, the greats are, one day at a time. Even in The Last Dance with Michael Jordan, there was a guy that said, sports psychologists try to figure out how to embrace the moment, being present. They said Michael Jordan was the king of that. He was always just in the moment. He was just, big game. He's just relaxed. He's got his headphones on. He's just very relaxed. He was the king of being in the moment.
Yeah, just being present. You can get so overwhelmed when you think about the year. You can get so overwhelmed with thinking about what's my 3-year, 5-year goal. You get so overwhelmed. But when you say 90 days, break it down to 30 days, and there's all these fad diets for like 30 days, 60-day detox, and 75 hard. All these different, and I hate to say 75 hard because 75 hard is more of a mental thing. It's not a diet thing, but the thought process in doing 30 days, 60, 75, 90, whatever that is, the thought process is if you can stay committed daily for 90 days, you can do it for 120. If you can do it for 120, you can do it for 150, 180. You can continue that cycle. So break it down to your point. Wake up every day with gratitude. Wake up every day with, I get to go out and do this for my family. I get to take my kids to school. It's not a drag. Oh my gosh, I got to take the kids to school. They're going to fuss. Life's going to happen. Like, it's going to happen. The kids are going to get in a fight on the way to school. Somebody's going to spill their drink. Somebody's going to fuss at somebody. But guess what? One day I'm going to wake up and I'm not going to have a little boy, little girl to take to school. One day they're going to be gone and I'm not going to get to take them. And those memories are going to be gone.
Yeah.
I won't be present anymore in that day.
Yeah. And there's times where I'm wondering if I'm ever going to miss those days, because we got a lot of kids. You're in the grind of life, but yeah, it's having your standard over your feelings. Because feelings will lie to you. Your emotions will lie to you. No one's ever lied to you more than you, right? But it's having a standard that you live by. And, Ben Newman, the book just came out, The Standard. I just ordered it.
I ordered you a copy, by the way.
Did you? Well,
yeah, pre-ordered
I'm
it.
going to have an extra copy. But I ordered it as well. And, man, it's just listening. I've listened to his podcast about it. I've listened to the one recently where he's on the Amplify with it, and it's just, man, it's so far it's going to be really good because it dives deeper into the standard. It's not just a slogan, it's not just standard over your feelings. It's not just the standard. It's not the standard is the standard. He even talks deep. There's like 24 deals of what the standard is, and he dives into each one of them, and just a few of them are, your standard is meaningful to you. Your standard is going to be detailed. Your standard is in making the right choices. Your standard is going to require you to be honest with yourself. Your standard is going to require you to be disciplined, right? Your standard is going to eliminate motivation. Think about that. I mean, if you're disciplined, it gets rid of all motivation. I mean, think about it. You're going to be motivated here and there. You're going to get excited here and there. But, man, if you're disciplined, that's when you can do it every day. Your standard is going to answer your why. Why are you even doing this? Why do we show up every day to do a podcast? We're not making a dime off this podcast, but we made the decision to do a podcast because we've got kids, we've got grandkids. There's other people out there that we wanted to sow back into that maybe catch the right ear of somebody, right? Our grandkids are going to have this content one day of two brothers talking about life, talking about the ups and downs of life, talking about our failures, right? I mean, we started this podcast off talking about how we screwed up in certain areas of this business. We've done a lot of things right. We've done a lot of things wrong. But I think that's prepped us for where we are now to be even more excited about the business than we've ever been. Zig Ziglar, who was one of the greatest motivational speakers there are for you young guys, just Google him, Zig Ziglar. Right before he passed away, he was in his 80s, and he was on the front row listening to this motivational speaker, and he was taking notes. Zig Ziglar, who's the king of motivational speaking, was listening to some no-name speaker, and he's on the front row taking notes. He was a savant because he knew he didn't know it all. And that's the danger part sometimes when you do have some success. When you do win, you think you've got it figured out, right? You don't. You really don't. You don't know what you don't know. And here's the thing. Once you start getting really good at it, you start realizing how much you don't know. And that's been us in business is when things got going really well, you thought you've had it figured out. Then we look back at, man, what about the mistakes that we made? Because in business you can do so many things right, but you do this wrong, man, and it can cost you in the long run. But the standard is going to challenge you to advance in your life. Having a certain standard is going to allow you to advance in your life. It's going to force you to reflect. When you're challenging yourself every day, JB, you can look back and reflect on why. They say experience is the life's greatest teacher. That's bullshit, man. There's so many people that have had so much experience and are still doing the same damn thing, right? Experience upon reflection is a great teacher. When you look back at your experience and reflect on what happened, that's a great teacher, not just going through something. The standard fulfills emotional needs without being emotional. We're all emotional, especially men. Men are more emotional than women, I think, But having a standard is going to fulfill that emotional needs. It's going to take your habits are going to be taken to the next level. I mean, I could go on and on. At the end of the day, standard is not about your goals. It's not. It's not about your goals. It's living to a certain standard.
Ben Newman worked with Nick Saban years ago from a mental toughness standpoint with the players. And I love what he was talking about, the standard. Like Nick Saban, if you watch when there's a tight game and, his right tackle jumps offsides and, it's like, hey, it's okay. Like if it's a really tight game, it's like, oh, it's okay. Hey, just be ready next play. Like he's encouraging. They're up by 3 or 4 touchdowns and his right tackle jumps off. He absolutely goes ape crap on him. And everybody's like, look at that idiot. Like from the norm. Look at that idiot. He's going off. Does he not know he's up 3 or 4 touchdowns? But Nick Saban knows he has a standard, and that standard is you don't jump off sides.
Yeah.
And the standard doesn't change because of the scoreboard. The standard doesn't change because we have success. He knows if he'll jump off sides being up 3 or 4 touchdowns, what is he going to do come nut cutting time when it's 4th down and they're close in inches and they're about to get the first down? That he has a standard that he expects out of his players to live by.
Because when pressure comes, you're not going to rise to the level of your training. You're going to fall to it. You're going to absolutely fall to it. Put somebody that's, making – we teach people how to make phone calls to book appointments, right? And they think they're doing exactly like somebody that can just roll through and book appointments. Well, I do it just like you do it. And then you put them on the spot. And what happens? The marbles are in their mouth. They fall apart, right? Because they're not trained. They're not gone through all those experiences that other person has. When you're under pressure, you fall to the level you're training.
Yeah, you don't rise.
No.
You don't rise up and say, hey, I'm about to overcome this.
No.
You fall to the level of your training.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think David Goggins always talked about. And, we sit here and we're dropping names of people that we listen to. Because the people that we listen to, they've had the same struggles in business. They've had the same struggles in life. So I want to learn from things. To your point, you can have experiences all day long, but if you don't learn from something, there's no point in having that experience.
In today's times, JB, there's no reason why you can't learn at anything. I mean, take our kids, for example. They know more things from YouTube than we ever knew growing up, right? There's no YouTube, there was no TiVo. I mean, if you wanted to watch a show, you had to make sure you were there watching it at that time. There's so much knowledge out there that you can learn from books, from podcasts, to watching videos. There's so many people you can learn from.
Yeah. I don't have to save these manuals to these remotes. How to,
That's right.
I can Google YouTube. Hey, how do I program this garage door opener?
Yeah.
All the information is right at our fingertips. The issue I feel like that we have now in day and time, I feel like an old man now. When you turn 40, you can say that this day and time, but people lack the fortitude of just going to work.
Yeah.
Just going to take action. We live behind a society of, man, that would be nice. I mean, that guy's lucky. You see all this Instagram world. It's like, yeah, they're lucky because they created their luck. They went to work. They had the right action. They woke up every day and said, I might not feel like it, but I'm going to do this.
I think your odds of success today are higher than they've ever been. And here's why. Because there's so many people out there that are lazy. And at the end of the day, success, again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier, success is a numbers game. You got to put in the time. You got to stack your days. And people aren't willing to do that. We live in such an instant gratification world. I mean, you post something on Instagram. I mean, I'm guilty of it. You post something, you grab your phone, and who liked it?
Yeah.
How many likes did I have? But that's the instant gratification world we live in. Our forefathers, 15, 20, 30, 40 years ago, man, it took time. It took time to invest, right? And I think if, it's like Dana White says, he said, man, if you're a savage, in today's times, you're gonna win. You know, if you're willing to fight and have a warrior mentality, your odds of winning are higher than most.
Because there's so many people out there, to your point, that are just lazy.
Yeah.
So many people want to sit back and say, well, I worked hard and I'm going to create this app that's going to make me millions. I'm going to create this such and such. It's going to make me millions. We have so many things that are systematic that we hinder the actual art of actually just taking action personally.
That's right.
Like, let me automate this. So let me automate this system here that filters out this person until I get them on the phone. That way I don't waste time with them. What happened to just getting to know a person and then saying, okay, you're a good fit to work with me, or you're not a good fit, I can help you, whatever.
Well, it's like in our world, you know, we sell insurance. We used to go door to door, okay? Now we're virtual. We don't travel. We do it all over the phone through the computer. It's not that it's easier. It's just, you know, it streamlines it a little bit better. You still have to make the phone calls. You still have to book the appointment. You still have to sit down with the client and go through a needs analysis and share with them what you have to offer. You still have to do the work, right? But it's just, you know, we do use technology to streamline things better, but you still got to work.
You can be more efficient, but at the end of the day, are you effective?
That's right.
It's got to be effective. So
That's right.
standard over feelings, you're never going to feel like doing it.
Yep.
But if you have a standard that says, I'm not hitting my alarm clock, I'm not going to procrastinate that project, I'm not going to procrastinate investing in that business, I'm starting my business now. Like, now it's time to get started.
It ought to get to the point to where if you're not hitting your standard, it ought to just be unacceptable. You know, the opposite of standard is unacceptable. You know, create wins every single day.
That's it. Stack little wins so you can have a big win. But don't sit on that big win.
Yeah.
Right? Going back to us, don't sit on it. Reflect, put fuel on the fire so you can have more people in your corner that they want to win, and you can bring them along with you.
Because if you show up the right way after a win, man, there's more wins down the road. There's different levels, you know, newer levels or come newer devils, but it's you get to the next level, there are more opportunities, and it just opens up yourself. You know, every level you go to, the world seems bigger. There's an abundance out there, abundance to help people, abundance, you know, relationships, abundance to, I mean, you know, money isn't success, you know, but there's so many opportunities to go out there and make a living for your family.
Every level has the opportunities, but guess what? They're disguised as obstacles.
Yep.
So push through the obstacle, go out and win for yourself.
That's right.